Welcome, everyone, to Celebrity Josh. I'm your host, Celebrity Josh, or Josh Rachlis, which is my legal name, or maybe I'll come up with a new stage name. Today is April 24th, 2020. We're still in quarantine. The world is locked down. I am in Ottawa, Canada, and Hilde Rew, is that your name?
Yeah. Well,
Hilde
that's
Rew.
my stage name.
Oh, their stage name. Okay, well, we'll
Yeah.
get into that. Hilde is, are you in Mexico City?
I am right now, yes.
Okay, so this is my podcast / YouTube show. This is all an experiment. Today was my first Skype recording. And so what I'm planning to do with this, hopefully, is post this video on YouTube. And then also I will take the audio and put it up as a podcast. So if you can't see what's going on, people, well, I guess you can go watch it on YouTube if you care to see what's going on. But hopefully you'll be able to also hear what's going on. And if you can't see what's going on, you're missing my beauty. So I feel bad. Oh, and also Hilde's beauty. Are you have red hair?
Yeah.
Excellent. I used to as well. So I figure I should marry a redhead because redheads are going extinct.
They are.
Have you heard? Yes. So let's see here. So yes. So today, well, just in terms of letting people know technically what's happening, I'm on my phone today. Yesterday, I was on my webcam on my laptop, and it seemed there was a bit of a lag. Like my face was not lined up with my audio, and it might be because I have an old 2013 MacBook. It might be because it's too full of memory. All my YouTube projects I've been sitting on for 10 years are taking up most of the space. And then I thought, okay, so maybe I'll try it on my phone today, and maybe tomorrow I can try it on my dad's computer because it's plugged into the internet, but I don't have the password to log into his computer, so I don't want to get into that now. But we got to do things just rough and tumble. It's all about just turning out content now, not being too much of a perfectionist, right?
Right.
Yes. Okay. So that's a pretty good introduction. If this was like a normal podcast, I'd probably say, oh, and please support our sponsors and stuff.
Right.
Don't have any sponsors. Although I do have a website called Josh Got It, JoshGotit.com that a friend made for me to help promote her website building site. Like she makes websites for people, and I'm going to start sending out newsletters on how to make money online. I've tried everything, and so I'll give you all the tips. So if you want to go to JoshGotit.com, you can do that and sign up for my newsletter. Okay, that's my sponsor, and I've already wasted 3 minutes. Do you think anybody's still listening?
I hope.
I hope. So I read your bio, and it's long, and you've done a million things. So I'll probably let you sort of introduce yourself more, but you seem multi-talented. You're a dancer for sure. Most of your bio seemed to be about dancing, and also you're singing. And does that sum it up, or are there even more? What's going on?
Okay. Yeah. So that's how I kind of define myself as a multi I don't know how you say it in English.
I think
like a
I can't remember if it's Marie Forleo. Do you know her? She's kind of like this life coach, Tony Robbins type of person. I think she calls it multi-hyphenate. Which is
wow.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a multi-hyphenate kind of thing.
And nobody
so
understands what that is. So
yeah, nobody would have any idea. Here, one sec. I'm going to rotate my phone here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to swipe up. No, I'm just going to put it on Do Not Disturb. There we go. Because I was getting like every Instagram notification. I'm like, please, people, I'm busy. Yeah, so I guess, but you could also call it a multi-passionate. I think that's what she calls it. Because she's always talking about people who say, oh, I should focus on one thing. Everybody says I should focus on one thing. And she's like, no, you can do a bunch of things. And I think she talks about like figuring out ways that you can combine all your talents to do something. Like if you're, I don't know, a dancer, actor, you could do a class of, I don't know. I can't think of an example right now, but whatever your different passions are, you could combine them to create something completely unique or something, or just work on them all. I'll have to watch her videos to see, but I know she's the one that says, that gives you license to do different things and not say, oh, you just have to focus on one thing. Do you get that from people? Everybody tells me like, oh, you're too scattered.
Yeah, especially people that are not artists. They don't get it. Like, oh, my family.
Right.
And most people in Mexico outside of the art or performer circle, um, I guess they just fear that I might start doing one thing and then just change my mind and don't never complete anything. But it's really something that it's a very interesting thing, because anything you do with your body, which is what I've discovered, for example, acting, dancing, and even singing, actually kind of is able to inform the other discipline. It's it's as if you were a musician and you played several different instruments. Then it's like they can each instrument can give you something different that you can use overall. Like, I don't know how to explain this, but all my dancing years, all my training has actually it gives me some sort of, I don't know if advantage, but as an actor, I've seen that a lot of people, especially in theater, it's very common that people are not aware of their bodies. That's actually something that actors, especially I see stage actors, train many years to do, to just be able to, oh, I have my hand and I have to do this in this line. I have to put down, I don't know, this mug. And people really forget to do it. It's like, and as a dancer, you are trained to be aware of absolutely every part of your body at the same time in a very like holistic way. It's like not focusing on just one thing, but just the whole way the energy flows, the whole way that each part of your body balances the other out. It's so anyway. I think especially with stage performance, I've been able to integrate very interestingly both the dancing and the acting, especially singing. Actually informed the way I use my voice in theater as well. So yeah, long story short, I think it's good to do many things as long as it's not way too many. I think one, two, even three can be actually very I don't know how to call this. Very like nutritious to your being, very nutritious to
Mm,
your whole human being.
I like that. Yeah, it's I guess like eating a meal. You want to have a variety of foods, vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
fruits, and
Mm-hmm.
everything. I mean, I guess it really depends on the person. There's some people that there's just one thing they want to do, right? They just want to
Definitely.
act, or they just like drawing, and so they do a cartoon strip. But I mean, it seems like there's a lot of creative people that like doing different things. And I
Yeah.
guess maybe, I've always thought, yeah, I guess maybe you need to try to make it big in one field, and then you can parlay that into other things. Like, for example, people go to see Woody Allen play clarinet or in jazz groups, not because he's a famous jazz musician, but because he's a famous actor or
Mm-hmm.
screenwriter. And so, or Sylvester Stallone, I think he paints and he sells his paintings. So like if you get as big as a movie actor, then people might be
Sure.
interested in your paintings. So that was always kind of my dream, that if I could um, get big doing something like that, then people might be interested in my other things.
Right.
But the other stuff I like to do is sort of combine my talents. Like I was acting when I was a kid in university. I was acting in a play that I uh, saw an audition for in the newspaper, and then I drew a card for the director. Or when they made a thank you card for the director, and I just signed my name and drew a little cartoon. And a woman in the play was like, "Hey, I like how you can draw so quickly and so well." And I'm hosting this cable show where people call in to buy and sell things, and maybe you could be my co-host. And so I wound up sitting beside her, and when people would call in and say, I'm looking to sell my bike or buy a couch, I would sit there and draw a funny cartoon about that kind of thing and then hold it up. So I was able to combine my drawing and my cartoons. And then sometimes now I do funny songs, like funny love songs about environmentalists or politicians.
Mm.
So that's kind of my dream, to be like a Jimmy Fallon, where he gets to sometimes play a funny song, or maybe I could draw a
Right.
cartoon. Um, I don't know. And then I guess now with the internet, you could be doing that. Like
Yeah,
I used to do community cable shows on TV, and I'd have to go to the TV station do it. But now you could literally broadcast. Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're doing a TV show from home.
exactly.
So there's lots of opportunities, and yeah, I don't think you need to lock down on one thing. I guess like you're saying, it's a balance. Like yeah, if you're too scattered, if you're doing a little bit of everything and never really getting anything done, yeah. But maybe as long as I don't think it means you have to sit 12 hours a day writing your screenplay. You could write your screenplay for a couple hours and then, okay, now I'm going to do my dance class or whatever. So I like it. And I like meeting people like you because it kind of encourages me to be like, okay, it's okay to have different talents and different interests and I spend too much time talking to, yeah, my parents or friends who are like, what are you doing? And most people don't get it. So I think it's important to be creative. I was actually thinking of starting like a singles group on Facebook. There's so many of these things. It's like, Jewish singles or digital nomad singles, but I've never seen one. I've never seen one for like creative people. And I thought that'd be so cool one day to have, I don't know, to be like John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, like, make movies together or in Canada, there's a comedian, Colin Mockery, he's like on Whose Line Is It Anyways, and his wife is an actress, and they're this creative power duo kind of thing. So who knows? So is your accent Mexican, or you're Mexican?
I am Mexican. I've worked a lot on my English accent, in part because I want to work in the US as an actor. And so let's say I don't have the classic profile for Latina. I don't look the way Americans think about Latinos. So I cannot readily use my face as an asset to work for the Hispanic community. I could do it on voiceover, and that's something that I intend to explore later. But I just have to neutralize my accent as much as possible just to open up my possibilities. Especially,
maybe.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah, say especially what?
No, especially when you're beginning, because nobody knows you. And so you have to, well, I feel like it's better to have as many options as possible as far as the way you can be cast.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. On the other hand, maybe it's better to focus in on your one unique thing, and that way you can be the best at that rather than trying to, be a bit of everything. Like, who knows? Because, yeah, like I see what you're saying, but I mean, who knows? Maybe you might never be able to have the perfect, white bread American accent.
That is very true.
But if your benefit is that you do have kind of a unique Spanish accent, then maybe go with that, and maybe you're the non-Latino looking Latina or something.
Yeah. A lot of people have actually told me that, but I'd rather, like, I can speak like this, I can totally do it.
Yeah, I guess you'll always have that.
I'd rather control it and just be able to do whatever I want.
Yeah, so that's great. And why what is your background? Why do you not look Latina?
Because my dad is a lighter-skinned Mexican, and my mom is a daughter of basically German Jewish that ran away from the war. Well, she's not the daughter, she's the granddaughter of the ones that ran away, but then they came into Mexico and they had babies and they were very light-skinned. And so she has like that background, and like my mom has 4 siblings and all of them look different. It's like a very it's an interesting combination, but my mom is the one that has the lighter hair and like the lighter skin, and so she married my dad, and here I am.
Very cool.
Light-skinned, different like shades, but light-skinned and light-haired.
Oh, that's fun. You're like a makeup palette, like slightly different.
Yeah, I'm weird.
That's cool. Well, I'm Jewish as well, so there you go. Maybe I should move to Mexico. I don't know.
Well, there's not a lot of Jewish people here. I'm not Jewish. Like, I do not practice. We do not practice. I was actually raised as Catholic, and I'm done with that.
All right. Topic for another podcast.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We'll say you're secular now. That's what they
Yeah.
say. There's, there was an article about, I don't know, one of my parents' friends this week, and they were like, he was called a secular Jew, and they're like, why did they bring up at all why he's Jewish? And blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I guess it was relevant to something, but yeah. So my dad was listing off, there's Orthodox, there's conservative, there's Reform, and there's secular, which means, I guess, Jewish by race, but not necessarily practicing the religion.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. I've only been to Mexico once. I guess maybe, God, 5 or 6 years ago. This woman I was talking to on J-Swipe, which is like a Jewish dating app like Tinder. She was she lives in New York, but she went to Mexico for vacation, and she's like, "Oh, you want to come down?" And I was like, "I'm gonna do it." She didn't think I was gonna show up, but I went to Tulum, and I showed up in the middle of the night and stayed at her yoga resort for a little bit. And then we went into the city. Yeah, so I've only been to Tulum, but nowhere else in Mexico. But it was very nice. We sang or swam in a cenote. Is that how you say it?
Cenote. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Okay, and then, but you had a lot on your bio about New York. Like, have you lived in New York as well?
Yes, I both studied and worked in New York for a little while.
And then, and so why are you back in Mexico?
So I came back to try to do a little bit of work over here, just to have like more, I don't know, integral bio, a more integral curriculum. But I'm looking to go back to the US either at the end of this year or next year. I'm working on my visa, and so I kind of need to do as much as I can of everything and have a big resume, not curriculum, sorry, a big resume and
curriculum vitae.
Curriculum, that's how we call it in Spanish, but resume, sorry.
No. I think in English too it's curriculum vitae or something is like the fancy way of saying resume. So for my resume link, I put like /CV, which is shorter than typing resume, because I don't like it, because I think resume should have the accents, like in French, résumé. So every time it's right to resume, it kind of bothers me, but it also bothers me to have to go, press the option key and then press the E, like every time I'm typing a resume. So I like saying CV. It's shorter. But yeah, I guess it's like here, the same way. If I wanted to go to the US, I'd have to prove that I'm something special and deserving of a special visa, which is interesting, because I never, for years, I've always thought, oh, of course I'm going to wind up in LA. And every time like different advertising producers would see me, they'd be like, oh, why are you still in Canada? Why aren't you in LA? And I'm like, oh, right, I should be in LA. But now I realize I guess I could go hang out there, but technically I couldn't work. Remember I was there a few years ago, staying in a hotel, and I wound up talking to someone about being like on a reality dating show, and they needed a Jewish person or something. We talked for like an hour about it, and then at the end she's like, oh, I don't know, she realized, wait, do you have a visa to work here? I'm like, I guess not. She's like, oh, you can't do it. So I was like, oh man, like, so there's stuff I could do there, like I could still probably do anything I'm doing on the internet, because nobody knows where in the world if you're doing voice acting or whatever. But to actually be there and be on a TV show or something, you need to have a visa to work. So yeah, I guess it's the same for me. I mean, who knows if I'll ever be famous enough for that, but I don't know. I mean, I like to think that with YouTube, I mean, maybe the fact that I'm just starting this now, maybe this will become something like, Lily Singh.
No.
Okay, well, she was a big YouTuber. She went by the name Superwoman, and just doing. She's from the Toronto area, and she's of Indian descent, and but she became a huge YouTuber, and then now she's in LA with her own talk show, and so so she just did it on her own kind of thing. And do you know the YouTuber Philip DeFranco?
Sounds familiar. I don't know much about YouTubers in general.
That's fine. Doesn't matter. I hadn't heard. I hadn't heard of him either until recently. But he does like a daily news show where he sums up the news. And then yesterday he gave a shout out to this. Hey, to fellow YouTubers, So the phone is ringing. Super Nailogical or something, or something like that, who are doing something where they're giving away food to. Should I answer this? Is there anybody in the house? Oh. See, there's the drama of being in a house and not being in a TV studio. He gave a shout out to. He said, for these Super Nailogical, they're giving away food if you use their name at different restaurants, but they're in Ottawa. And I'm like, who are these people? And I looked up their Instagram, and they got like 2 million followers. I'm like, there's people in Ottawa with 2 million followers. Like, so I'm like, I guess I could be anywhere. What's my excuse, right? I don't even know what they do. I don't know what Nailogical means. I don't know if she does nail tips, but then she's got a boyfriend, Super Ben Logical. I guess Ben is his name. I don't know. I need to research this stuff. But maybe I could become a big Ottawa YouTuber and then get a show somewhere. I don't know. Or maybe you and I will co-host a show. Maybe this will be a show every day. People just want to listen to us talk about whatever the hell we're talking about. What is that thing in the background, that orange thing?
Orange. Oh, that's a cat toy.
Okay, I was like, it looks like some nice fountain or something.
I actually meant to remove it before this.
No, that's fine. Whatever. I'm just always curious, and it's none of my business. And if it's a podcast, people are like, I can't see it. What is the orange thing? And I'm like, it's just a thing. It looks like a little fountain thing. My dad has a little fountain in the living room where the water spills onto different levels. But we leave it turned off now because it always sounds like the toilet's running, or like there's a leak somewhere, and then it's like, what is that? But he likes it. So that's what you realize too when you're in a house with somebody else. They've got different preferences, and yeah, that's why I guess sometimes it's good to live alone. I keep saying I want to be with a roommate again, but then you forget, what's involved with that, right? Like just who's eating the food in the fridge, or who's doing the dishes, or who's making noise while somebody's trying to do a podcast thing.
Oh God, yeah. Battles was gonna clean, do it.
Yeah. What kind of living situations did you have when you were in New York?
Roommates always. It's hard to afford not to have roommates in New York.
Oh yeah, for sure. I remember I had a friend there who was a lawyer, and he was telling me, this is like long, maybe 20 years ago, and just the amount he was paying for rent, I was like, what? I think it was like $5,000 US or something crazy for this little thing, and I was like, how can anybody live here? I actually got a job offer in New York 10 years ago. They were offering to give me a visa, and I would go do ads for Broadway shows, which is kind of cool. But I thought, I don't know if I could afford to live there even with the salary. And then I was like, but I want to be free to just do my acting. I want to go there on my own. But it didn't occur to me that, no, I'd never be able to go there on my own. I wouldn't have a visa. I wouldn't have a salary. So that's unfortunate. But I guess I'm trying very hard these days to not live in the past and keep second guessing every decision I've ever made, because you can't. I'm finding, I don't know if you knew this, but you can't actually change the past.
No, you can't. I've tried.
Yeah. Really? You've made a time machine?
Tried making a time machine.
Yeah. How's it doesn't work. Oh, that's too bad. So are you living with your parents right now, or what's going on?
No, I'm living with my boyfriend right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where is he? Is he in the other room, and he's been told to be quiet while you're on an interview?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's working on his own thing.
What does he work on?
He's an actor too, and theater director. So right now he's trying to write a play. Actually, he already wrote one, and it had great reviews. So he's writing another one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So you're the creative power couple that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Have you thought about working together, like, be acting in a play he wrote or something?
Definitely. He keeps saying he's going to write a play for me. But that's actually one of the reasons I came back to Mexico City, because I was working with him on his previous play. It's like a very postmodern-ish, musical-ish play. Nobody sings, but there's a lot of music, and there's some dance, and there's a lot of movement. So I was basically the choreographer and coach movement coach or movement director, as he called it, for the actors. And
Wow. Can I ask how you guys met?
yeah, we actually met when I was still pursuing a dance career about 5 years ago. We met in the National Center for the Arts in Mexico City. That's like a big art school. It's like the biggest. And he was studying acting in the acting school. And I have a friend who was my best friend from when I was a kid. And we hadn't talked for a few years. And so I went to visit Mexico before moving to New York, actually. And we met in the school because she was studying there and they were in the same group. And so that's how I met him.
So you remember the very moment we were like, oh, hello. Like, were you like, oh yeah, this is gonna be my boyfriend? Or like, how does it go from, this just stuff fascinates me, how you meet someone and then it's like, oh, hey, what's your number? Like, how did you get together again?
It's so interesting. It was actually very complicated because I was about to move to New York and I was in San Francisco first for 2 years and he was obviously in school. So the moment that I saw him was a production meeting for a little play they were doing for school. And so I was basically just like there. I wasn't supposed to be there, but my friend was like, okay, I have to do this. Why don't you just come with me and then we'll go have some coffee or something after. And so I was there. And that's how I met her, all of her friends, all of the group. And from the moment I saw him, I felt like I knew him from somewhere. Like he felt so familiar. I felt like curious, like a curiosity, like I want to know who this person is. And he kind of felt a similar thing. So I don't know. I guess it's like a magnet.
Yeah.
Thing. Weird. It was complicated. We were together for about 2-3 months during the summer, and then I moved to New York, and we tried the long distance thing. It was really hard. Then he went to New York. We stayed there for a year and a half. Then we went back to Mexico, and now we are planning to go back to New York at some point as soon as my visa is ready.
Wow, that's very cool. Would he need a visa as well?
Yeah, we both need visas. Technically, if we get married, he could get like a visa that's kind of like a linked visa to mine, but we're both trying to get our own so we can both work.
Yeah, or whoever gets it first, then you marry that, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. That's a good story. I like that story. It reminds me of I think Ryan Reynolds talks about how he met his girlfriend, like he was on a double date with like someone else or something, but there was just this connection between him and I guess, is it Blake Lively he's married to, and so they just sort of knew, and then they wound up. Actually, I think my dad was saying it was the same thing. He was on a double date with with someone else and wound up liking my mom as well. But yeah, I think in my life there's been people that you definitely feel an instant connection with. I remember when I was in my first year of university, after a couple of months, I went back to Ottawa. I was in university in Toronto, and I came back for Thanksgiving, and my friends from high school were like, oh, do you have a girlfriend? And I'd never had a girlfriend. I'd never kissed a girl, whatever. But there was this girl I liked, and I was like, yeah, it's this girl, Sarah or whatever. And then wound up, like a month later, we wound up kissing or whatever, and then we were dating for a little bit until I broke up with her for no reason, which was stupid. But yeah, you kind of sense that, there's somebody I'm interested in or whatever. And then I just hope that that grown-ups can still have that. Like I remember feelings like that of first love, or when you're young and things are new. But and I was just thinking about that recently, about how in my diary, like after I first kissed a girl, I wrote like pages and pages. I kissed a girl, and this whole detailed stories and whatever. And I'm like, as a grown-up, can you ever even feel anything close to that? Is it going to be like, am I ever going to write in a diary like, oh my God, I met someone or whatever? I don't know. But hopefully, or maybe that's what life is. You have those experiences and then you just think about them in the past. I don't know. Are you still having, obviously you're not as old as me, but do you still have hopes and dreams and looking forward to excitement things?
Yeah, kind of in a more grounded way, I would say. I I was that type of person that had dreams and didn't really think how to get to them in a very practical way. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna, go to San Francisco and find my destiny while I'm at school. Okay.
Getting all the notifications as well?
Yeah, sure. Um, and then when I moved to New York, it was like life giving me a slap in the face and telling me, hey, this is the real world and it's not that easy. And especially New York, and it's actually very similar to Mexico City. People don't have time to make friends. So I was expecting, for example, to arrive to school and like have a group of friends, and that didn't happen because everybody was tired all the time. And so all your free time, you just wanted to go to sleep and not see anybody. So living in New York, actually, I feel like I became an adult there, like a real adult. And so now I'm trying to find a balance, like being realistic and actually trying to make a sort of plan or a sort of like list of steps that I try to structure my life a little bit better now, just to not lose time. I think it's kind of dumb, but I like to use time in the most effective way possible. I don't like to lose my time.
Yeah, no,
Waste my
yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely what I've realized lately, how much time I've wasted in my life. And I guess on the one hand, I mean, you can always get older and look back and think, oh my God, I wasted my life. But I mean, at the time you were living it, and maybe that's the fun of being young. You feel like you've got all the time in the world, so you can
right.
just watch a movie or read a book or whatever and not be all stressed out that, oh my God, like I'm wasting every minute. But I do regret, I was just saying to a friend today on the phone, it's like, God, when I was just finishing university or something, why didn't I just pack up and go to LA or something? And she's like, well, why didn't you? I'm like, I don't know. I figured I should have a job, and I was working in advertising, and I did occasional stand-up comedy and occasional improv comedy and stuff. So I sort of did it, but I don't even know what I would do different now if I could. But I guess I mean, I look back and I'm like, oh, I should have taken radio school and become a big radio DJ like Howard Stern or something. But I don't even know if radio college existed. Like when I finished university, my mom sent me an article about copywriting school, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll take copywriting. That's creative. And I guess people change too. I guess I found it interesting at the time to do advertising, but and then you go, oh, why did I? Whoa. Sorry, I just dropped the phone. Why did I waste time writing commercials for other people when I could have been doing my own acting? I don't know.
Well,
But it's interesting because I've been messaging a lot of, I don't know if you're interested in this stuff at all, but this week while I've been in quarantine, I was like, you know what, I should message all my old university friends and my high school friends and all these people that I haven't talked to, because I thought it'd be useful to, you touch base with people that are your age that did the same things. And yeah, not everybody. I mean, some people everybody's in a different space. Like some people never had kids. Some people have kids, but they're getting divorced now. Some people are running their own law firms. Some traffic going on.
sorry, yeah. I mean, okay. I don't understand why people are still going out, honestly.
Yeah. Are you in Mexico City?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just getting bad here. Just like barely starting to go real bad.
Really?
So
yeah, because it sounds
just trying to stay inside.
That's good. Yeah, it sounds like they're opening things up elsewhere. Like they're talking about opening up Las Vegas. But I drop into these classes that a friend started to teach English to people in Vietnam, and they're like, yeah, we're all going to or some girls like, I'm going to the bar tonight because they've opened, now we can go back to bars and the beaches are open. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But it's funny because the weather's getting nicer here. in Ottawa, and so I went for a walk yesterday. And I'm like, yeah, everybody's kind of walking outside. It's easier to stay isolated when it's cold out, but once it starts getting warmer, I think everybody's going to be like, screw it, let's just go outside.
It's sad.
Like,
Yeah.
because and it starts to, the longer this quarantine lasts, I'm sort of almost starting to forget that it's real. Like, you're outside, you're like, yeah, I'm walking, like, I'm like, wait a minute, oh, that's right, I'm not supposed to be touching anything. Like, it's sort of plays with this mind game.
Yeah.
But people keep saying, like, oh yeah, are you depressed? Or somebody on Facebook said it looks like you're going stir crazy because I post videos of me walking at night and just talking to my phone and complaining about regrets or whatever. And I said, yeah, it's not really the quarantine. I actually don't mind the quarantine because my life was kind of this anyways. Like, I left my advertising job 5 years ago, so I just work on my laptop anyways. And I always have FOMO, fear of missing out. So I never want to do my videos. So I'm like, oh, I should be traveling. I should be out partying. I should be doing something. But now nothing's going on anywhere. So I feel like it's okay to be inside. So I'm kind of dreading when if they open things up again, it'll be like, oh, now everybody's out doing things again. And what am I doing? It's more that I wish I was like you and I had a boyfriend to be with or a family with kids and stuff. So that's a whole other issue. It's funny because I always broke up with my girlfriends because I always thought, no, I'm not ready to have my life set in stone yet. Like, this isn't the girl. I'm going to be in Hollywood. I'm going to marry Julia Roberts, or I don't know where my life is going. I'm going to be so famous, and why would I wind up settling with just a regular person who knew me when I was a regular person? It was, silly thoughts like that, right? And then life goes by, and you're like, maybe I'm not going to be Brad Pitt. Like, maybe that's not, and even Brad Pitt keeps getting divorced or whatever. So
Right.
I don't know. And then I realized, you know what, the people who seem really happy are people like, Hugh Jackman, who, met an actress when she was famous and he wasn't, and then they got married, and then he's been with the same person, or Tom Hanks, who's, Rita Wilson. I'm not even sure who she is, but they obviously met and enjoyed each other's company. And it's not about finding someone that just wants you because, oh, now you're rich and famous. Mm-hmm. It's just about being someone who loves you for you. And then if you take that journey together, oh my God, now you get to live in the famous mansion together or whatever. So, yeah. Well, I'm glad you've got your boyfriend, but if you break up with him, don't feel too bad either.
No.
Yeah.
You never know.
You never
especially
know.
With this kind of life. But I found it actually very, it's nice. It's nice to have someone that understands how this career is, and that we can have a kind of flexibility. We can have flexibility in, like, oh, I need to do something in New York now. Okay, well, let's go together and let's try to do something together. Or like, you do your thing, I do my thing. Oh, now I don't know, I want this thing to have a season of my play in Mexico City. Okay, all right, let's go for a little while, and that's kind of like a lucky thing to have when you're an artist, I think. I actually always thought that I needed a partner who was an artist too, because I never thought that anybody else would understand me. And I actually dated a couple doctors when I was younger. But no, it didn't work out. Nobody understood that this goes first. I actually didn't have any friends in high school either. Like, you're telling me, oh, I talked to my friends of high. I know I don't have people that I talked to from high school. I was never available. I was always going to classes and rehearsal and stuff. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I say I'm messaging my friends from high school, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I was in a gifted program, so there was a few people that I was friends with, I guess, but I was very shy. I didn't really know how to go to parties or whatever. I used to I knew where people would drive, like on the way to parties and stuff, so I would stand on a street corner. I'd sit on this big like hydro energy box and just sort of sit there and then wait for people to drive by, and they'd be like, oh, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I don't know, like, what's is there a party going on, kind of thing. Like, I didn't know how to just call people. Or my friend Dave Roach, I knew his schedule when he worked at the gas station, so I'd always make sure I was biking sort of that way when he was biking home, and he'd be like, oh, what a coincidence, Josh. And I'm like, yeah, is there any parties? And he'd be like, yeah, come with me and stuff. So very awkward. But yeah, I never kept in touch with any of those people. So that's why I'm trying to look up the people now on Facebook and just reconnect. And in a way, it kind of feels like maybe it's grounding me a bit. Like, it's sort of I mean, I can't get back those 30 years, but I don't know, maybe stop. I always imagined that I would have a life where you have friends and then you're just friends your whole life. You know, you make new memories in your 20s and your 30s, and you raise your kids together. You go to the cottage together, and I've never
So you
kept
see
in
it in
touch.
movies and stuff,
What's that?
right? So you see it in movies and stuff, and so you
Yeah,
expect that that's how life goes. And,
maybe.
you
Yeah,
know,
I assumed that was it. I don't know. And then, yeah, you build this life together, and then, you know, you're always comparing, oh, here's the pictures of us when we were younger, and then you make new memories. But instead, I just sort of, you know, I don't know. I guess I was just always on dating apps, and I would meet new people, but you'd know people for a week and then never again. And so, and I guess it's also different if everybody gets married and has kids when they're younger, and you're like, oh, I'm not going to do that, and then you don't really have anything in common with them. Like,
yeah,
what am I going to do? And it also makes me feel sad to talk to people with kids or grown kids, because I feel like I don't have that, and that's almost all they talk about and all they care about. And it makes sense. Like, once you've got a wife and kids, that's kind of your world. Like,
exactly.
maybe you're in your own head, you're still like, no, I'm still 18 and you're still 18, and maybe we can get together again. But I mean, that's crazy talk. I know, but yeah, the closest I've had to a creative partner like that. Like, I remember I dated this girl Jan years ago, and I was doing stand up, and I was like, you should do stand up. She didn't want to, but she tried it, and she was really good at it. But I don't think it was her passion. But anyways, we broke up. I broke up with her. But I did meet this girl a few years ago who saw me on a dating site, and I had talked about this short film I was making about a towel.
Towel?
Yeah, I made this project for work. They wanted me to do a video for Procter and Gamble, and talking about different opportunities in the house for fabric care. And so I made up a character. It was like a talking towel named Terry Cloth, and I made a puppet show with him talking about, oh, here's my aunt curtains, or like different things. And then I had things like, there was like lingerie he was showing that was a relative, but then the P&G was like, oh, that's too risque or whatever. But somebody, I think the guy who worked on the sound for it, like at the sound studio, was like, this is so creative, this is so interesting. This should be like a late night cable show or something. So I wanted to make a short film about the character that I could do whatever I wanted. And in my head, it was going to be like, you know, like strippers, if they sit on your lap and give you a lap dance, they usually put a towel on your lap so they don't get germs. And I thought, okay, maybe the towel works at a strip club, but he has dreams of like becoming a famous knitter, and he wants to join knitting contests. I don't know what I was thinking, but I met this girl, or she was actually doing research to, she wanted to write a screenplay about online dating, but she never did it. So she was just looking through the site at profiles for research, but she saw my profile, and then she paid to sign up so that she could message me. And then I went and visited her in her small town, or she came to visit me first. And then I wound up staying with her, and we wrote the screenplay together for a weekend. And it became more of a nice love story about a towel that falls in love with a girl and then wants to write her a love song, but he doesn't have hands, so he can't play it for her. So he takes all his, he has all these magazines about knitting and crochet, like different fabrics magazines. I don't even know where I got those. I think maybe I probably got them for the original Procter and Gamble one. Somebody went to the. I think I bought them all, and I was able to expense it. So because they're expensive magazines, because nobody buys them. So so anyway, so it became this love story about her. So then the towel trades in the magazines at a pawn shop to get a guitar. Oh no, first he has to become a person. So he wishes to his fairy cloth mother to become a person so that he has hands, but then he needs a guitar. So he makes all these sacrifices and sings her a song, and it was beautiful. And I wrote this song that was just inspired by her, and it's on my YouTube. And anyway, so that was the closest I had to somebody creative, and it was kind of cool to be like, hey, we're going to write this movie together. Because I also find it's very lonely if you're writing or working on a screenplay. You feel like, you know, the world is passing by and I'm sitting alone. But if you've got somebody that's also sitting there writing, or that you're writing it together, it makes you feel less lonely, right? So
I guess so.
So yeah, she's married with kids now too, or whatever. So but hopefully I can still even just meet people creatively. I'm even just doing interviews like this, I feel good, right? Like, it gets you out of your own head for a bit. Like, I can, you know, meet some, like, if I wasn't doing interviews, there's no reason we'd be talking for 45 minutes or at all. So that makes me happy. So yeah, so that's very cool. Well, I'm glad you've got that partner, and whatever it is, wherever it goes, it'll be one of those epic stories where, the big director and the glamorous actress dancer, and
Hopeful. Hopefully.
You'll be telling the story on Jimmy Kimmel one day.
I hope.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting how relationships seem to come and go. Like, a lot of people have the love story for their whole lives, like my grandparents and all that, which is all nice. But then other people are like, yeah, Brad Pitt dated Jennifer Aniston, but then he didn't. And then he was with Angelina Jolie, but then he's back with Jennifer Aniston or whatever. So you never know what's going to happen. Everybody's mad at, what's his name? Zach Braff. Or he's a comedian. Oh, well, I'm not mad at him, but I think, was it on Philip DeFranco? I think it was. That's how I know everything. Because he's dating, I guess he's about 45, and he's got a girlfriend who's a big Oscar-nominated actress or something who's only 24, and she wished him a happy birthday, and then everybody piled on and said how creepy that is and abusive.
Oh, yeah, I think I heard about that.
Yeah.
That's so annoying. Like, why do people care so much about other people's lives, like personal lives? It's none of your business. Just let them be.
No, well, that's what everybody is, right? It's all about bothering people and complaining.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, I've realized I don't think I've ever cared about it. It's like people do their own thing, but especially now, I'm like, really? But I think that's what it is, right? It makes people feel better about their own. I think if people are genuinely happy and satisfied in their life, they're not going to have the time or energy to want to attack other people. I think it just makes. True. I would imagine it just makes people feel better to attack others and whatever. But anyways, that gave me hope that I can still meet a Hollywood actress. So we'll see. You hear all these stories about like how Jessica Alba went up marrying a guy who was like a PA on the set or whatever, and you're like, oh my god. Right. You ever seen the movie Notting Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
long time ago.
Yeah, me too. I don't remember, but that's when I have dreams, that's kind of the dream I have, that I'm a regular Joe, like Hugh Grant, because he's a regular Joe. Yeah, I guess it helps if you look like Hugh Grant and you own a bookstore. But I also dreamed that I was Spider-Man a lot, like, and then I reveal my face to the girl and stuff. I have a lot of dreams. I try to, especially when I take melatonin, I have very intense dreams. But yeah, I don't know. I guess you just got to take it day by day. And so what's your immediate plan? Like you're in quarantine right now. You're hoping to get a visa. Things are still shut down, so you can't really be doing dancing. Like, what are you working on right now?
I'm actually starting to explore playwriting. So I have these ideas. I'm also going to take an acting class online with a famous director. Well, I'm waiting to see if I'm going to be in the group. He's going to announce it on the 26th. So that would be, I don't even know what day is it. Like
today's Friday. Yeah, Sunday the 26th, I guess.
Oh, so today I'll know. But I'm pretty sure I'm hoping I'm gonna have that. That's gonna be in May. And other than that, I'm just like trying to remain sane, doing yoga. I'm reading a lot. I'm like just contemplating life also, like allowing myself to do the things that I usually cannot do, which is sleeping and contemplating life. And I think that's actually a positive thing. I think the best ideas sometimes, or many times, come to you when you're just still. And so quarantine is actually, it's not being that bad for me. Like when I have time, like on weekends, if I'm not doing anything or if I don't have rehearsal or anything, I would much rather stay home and like relax, do something creative, watch a movie, maybe, I don't know, practice a monologue or something, write. I would much rather do any of that than go out to a club. I was never that type of person, so I'm actually kind of enjoying it. I just hate to have all this uncertainty. Obviously, our play is suspended, like everything is suspended until now. We were told that in May, they were going to like see if in May we could reopen, but obviously that's not going to happen. So now we're just like waiting.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's on the one hand I realize it's only been like a month and a bit. Like it hasn't,
Mhm.
originally I was thinking, oh my God, this is gonna last 10 years or whatever, which I still wouldn't mind, but that's a long time. Um, but then I'm like, yeah, I don't even know what I did with January and February. Like time flies for sure.
Exactly.
And then especially for somebody like you or me who's creative and you want to spend your time taking classes or whatever. Like I understand it's a different situation if people have a job that they can't do from home, like you're working at a whatever it is, like at a store or something, and your life isn't about just sort of sitting and being artistic. But for people like us, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad opportunity. Like I was saying, it's like you're not missing anything out. You don't
Hmm.
have to be at a conference or whatever, so you might as well write that play or
Exactly.
whatever it is. So I'm glad you're getting that time. Is your family live nearby or?
Um, kind of. Not really. We live towards the south center of Mexico City, and they live in the very northern area. It's also a huge city. It's huge, like insanely huge. Like if you were born in the northern area, for example, like I was, you like never go to some places. You just never go. It's like it's another city. It feels like another city completely.
Yeah.
Um, and so we've kind of seen each other a couple times since this started. It's also like people started taking the quarantine seriously only like a couple weeks ago.
Mm.
um, but me and my family started because we saw how it went outside in the world. So I was like, I'm not gonna risk it, and this like the place probably gonna be shut down, and probably everything's gonna be shut down. Like I'm, I don't think we're gonna be able to do many things this year. Um, so
Yeah.
yeah, we're like kind of like on opposite sides of the city.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I can't even imagine how big the city is in Toronto. Yeah, it seems big, but yeah, Mexico's pretty huge. And so, do you ever leave? I'm just curious. Like, do you leave the house? Do you go to get groceries or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we try to not get out very much. We try to buy groceries for at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It never lasts though. We have to go out every like 10 days or so. Um,
And
but
do you
yeah, sorry.
do you go for walks? Like, do you go to a park or?
Um, I have tried not to, but I've just been out for a walk like 2 times. Um,
Okay, so you haven't been
yeah,
outside today or yesterday.
nope.
No. Okay, that's good. Stay safe. Better
Yeah.
safe than sorry. Yeah, every time I go out, I'm like, oh, did I get too close to someone? Like, what was I doing?
Hmm.
Yeah,
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 it's
better.
just
What I'm worried about though, because it's starting to get a bit warmer here, and it's going to be summer soon, and I think it's not like I'm going to be suddenly younger and I'll have married the right person. It's not going to change anything, but I do feel better when it's a bit warmer out. I'm realizing,
hmm.
and then just the thought of okay, summer's going to fly by in 4 months, and then it'll be September, October, start getting cold again. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can handle that. Like for my mental health, like unless my life is so perfect that I'm happy again, I don't know if I can do it. So I'm starting to think, okay, I'm going to have to move to some warmer climate, just sort of go hang out in Miami or Mexico or Vietnam with all my students,
You
somewhere
could do
cheap.
that.
Yeah, they were just saying, what was some girl saying in the class? We had a little group chat on Facebook after, and she's like, I do modeling. Like, normally models make like $1 an hour, but I make $20 an hour because my skin is very
It's
smooth or something. They
perfect.
don't, they don't have, yeah, they don't have to keep redoing the makeup or something. And I'm like, $1 an hour.
Wow.
So I'm like, huh, it probably would be cheap. I could go live there like a king and just do like one voiceover job a month or something.
Yeah,
So,
you totally
but
could.
it's
If you
funny,
should.
like when I was younger, I always thought, yeah, I should go travel. And I know people. My friend Dennis in university, he went to Korea and then Japan, and he was there for like 30 years teaching English. And now he's back in Canada with yeah, a wife and a couple of Japanese kids.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but yeah, I don't know if he married one of his students. I think he did originally, then got divorced, then married another student. What was my point? Oh yeah, it's different when you're younger, I guess. You sort of go, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go take off. But then now I'm like, oh, I miss my family. Like if I went away and I didn't see my parents for years, or my sister has a couple of kids and they're gonna grow up without me. So it's funny, even without a wife and kids, you sort of think, okay, well, what are my ties? Like what would prevent me from moving to LA or to
Right.
Vietnam? So I don't know, but I'll keep looking at it. I applied for a couple of jobs in the fall for, like, I'm always applying for radio station jobs. And then finally a couple of places got back to me because it's hard to break into the industry. They all want like a 20-year-old that can grow with it and start in a small town for no money and work for 20 years or whatever. It's hard to just break. And there's not a lot of jobs anyways. Like, it's not really,
Right.
unless you're Howard Stern and you've already made $100 million or whatever. But yeah, a couple places got back to me, like in small towns, like in Saskatchewan, like this little town with 16,000 people, and it'd be like minimum wage, and I'd be on the air once a week and otherwise be reporting. Or somebody
Sounds
got
good.
back to me. Yeah, sounds good. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds cozy. And then, yeah, again, maybe it's something I would have done when I was 20. You feel like, oh, that's cool. I'm in the little small town. But then it just sounded depressing to do it now. Like, I don't know. And then there's another town that said, like a smaller town in Ontario, that said, why do you want to come to Timmins? And I never got back. I'm like, yeah, why would I want to move to Timmins or wherever? Like, you start realizing, I thought my dream was to be on the radio, but then I'm like, yeah, if I was on the radio, like, that's your job. Like, you have to be there every day, every morning. There's no vacation. Like at that Saskatchewan thing, there's no vacation for the year. So you'd literally be doing it, not going anywhere for a year.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I don't know.
No vacation.
I mean, it's not that I care about vacation. Even when I had a job, I never took vacation because I liked being productive. But now I realize, no, I could have used that time to be creative on my own. I didn't have to be working on ads. So I still think, maybe I should just go to Los Angeles. And you know what? I don't know. I think by doing this show, I'll have my hour podcast a day, and maybe, and who knows? And then I could travel and still have a home base somewhere, but still be reaching people everywhere. It makes me feel good to have these discussions and to be to broadcasting. So who knows? As long as I do this every day, I think that's what matters. If I spend another month or a whole year going, oh yeah, one day I got to do these interviews, nothing's ever going to happen. But if I do it like this, and I just say, no, every single day I've got to interview someone, at the end of the year, I'll have at least 365 shows. And you can't really control how famous you get. You just have to do your best, but at least you can say you tried. I see, I did a show every day and it did what it did, but at least you've tried, right? So
Exactly.
There you go. Well, I guess, at the beginning I asked you before we got on, I'm like, what's your hard stop? You're like, oh, well, I got to do something at like 2:30 or something. I'm like, oh, that's an hour from now. We're only going to talk for like 20 minutes, maybe just 5, or even 5 minutes. But it's looking at 57 minutes and 40 seconds now. So thank you for joining us, Hilde. And we never talked about, okay, let's say we'll make this an hour. What your stage name? So like, what is your full name or your stage name, or how did that work?
Okay, I have a very long name. I have in Mexico and I think most Hispanic countries, you have 2 last names. It kind of works like it kind of has the function of the middle name in America. I don't know if in Canada too. Yeah. Like you have your first name and your last name, but you always or usually have a middle name that kind of differentiates you from your dad if your dad has the same name. But in Mexico, instead of that, we have 2 last names, and many people still have 2 first names as well. It's crazy. But anyways, I have a long first name, Hildegard, right? That's a German name. And then my last name, my dad's, is Ruiz Esparza. That's 2 words. And then my mom's last name is another word. And so there's 4 words in my name, and they're long. Yes. And so for a few years, a couple of years now, since I finished school, I've been thinking like, oh, should I maybe just use one of those? Should I, what can I do? And I was using my mom's for a little while, actually, because it kind of goes better with my name, because it's a German last name and then a German first name. But last year, I came up with the idea of making a last name, like fabricating a last name from the first letters of all my last name words. So it's REW. And I realized that sounds like a word, and that sounds like a last name. And it sounds like European-ish, so it could go with my name, and it's easier for people to remember. So now I'm Hilde Rew.
Oh, I love it. See, there's a story that, because I research stage names all the time, and people like to ask the story of what's the story. So and they say it's good to have a story, not just be like, I don't know. So then you've got a whole story about your whole history and everything. I was just researching Zendaya's name. I thought it was Zendaya, but she says it's Zendaya. I discovered.
Oh, I had no idea.
And she said, yeah, like her name is like that too. It's got her whole, like Zendaya is her real first name, but it's Zendaya something, something, something. And she's half all these different cultures and stuff. So she says her name is kind of like, it's literally like a timeline of all her background or whatever.
Interesting.
So that's cool. Yeah, no, I'm always, because my name's Josh Rachlis. It's hard to spell. It's just like it's not made up, but it's like some kind of Russian background, and it's probably should be pronounced Rachlis or something.
Yeah.
So even when I was on the radio originally, before, I guess the internet was still around, 10 years or 15 years ago, but I'd say it's Josh Rachlis, and I'd be like afraid that, what if people want to look me up and can't find me and stuff.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, so that's why I'm going by Celebrity Josh for now. I made up that name at work a few years ago. Somebody said, hey, can you make one of your funny web series things? Like another creative team wanted me to do something, and they had an idea for somebody to be a celebrity hunter and trying to get celebrities to try this Orville Redenbacher popcorn at the film festival. So I was looking up names like Celebrity Hunter or the Celebrity Hunter on YouTube, and everything was taken. And I thought, well, you know what? Crocodile Dundee hunts crocodile, so he's Crocodile Dundee.
Right.
And I hunt celebrities, so I'm Celebrity Josh. So I got the name on like Twitter and the .com for some reason. And then I wasn't really using it, but then I guess a few years ago I met this woman who was running for mayor, and she's the one who builds the websites, and she's like, do you have something that's easier to spell? I said, I don't know, I could go with Celebrity Josh. She's like, I like that. So I don't like it. So I'm using it for now. I don't like it because it's still linked to Josh, and I just feel like Josh is too common a name. Like it's just, I want to be unique. And I also want something shorter, like Celebrity Josh, too long, even though it's like Calamity Jane. It's not. So I say, okay, that's okay that way. But I'd love to be somebody like Sting or Pink, like just one word, like the shortest thing. Because there was a Saturday Night Live skit last week where Pete Davidson was doing like a joke about Drake songs. Like he was like, this is a Drake song. I miss my ex-girlfriend. This is a Drake song. And I'm like, and it works because Drake is just one short thing. And it's like, if his name was Josh Rachlis, you wouldn't be, this is a Josh Rachlis, it'd be too long. This is not Celebrity Josh. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something. Like, no, it's like, you got to have one syllable. So, but you'll never get the .com for that. But of course, even Sting doesn't have @Sting on Instagram. He's official Sting or whatever. So, and then I keep thinking, what if I play James Bond one day? Is it going to say Celebrity Josh on the poster? Like, can you picture celebrity? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But realistically, am I going to play James Bond? I don't know. Pierce Brosnan just said he was told, more people have walked on the moon than have played James Bond. So, and then I think, you know what, maybe I can just keep having different names, like Donald Glover raps under Childish Gambino, like you could have. So maybe I just keep working at it, and then something will come. Maybe one day I'll marry Jennifer Lawrence, and she'll be like, no, your name is, Eggplant or something. I don't know. I do like the name Spark. I don't know why. It doesn't mean anything at all, but I just keep thinking that's kind of a cool name.
Try that.
Yeah. And then
Sting, Pink, those are not even human names.
No, Sting is just because he was in a bar once, and he was wearing a sweater that had like black and yellow stripes, so he looked like a bee, and the owner said, hey, I'm going to call you Sting. And that's it. And I forget why Pink's name is Pink. It probably just because she likes the color pink. I don't know. Everybody's got a story. I mean, Drake is just his middle name. His real name is Aubrey Drake Singer. He's half Jewish too.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but you could see as a rapper, would he be famous as Aubrey Singer? Probably not, right? Mm-hmm. So Thomas Mapother, that's Tom Cruise's real name. He's from Ottawa. So I don't know, but I think names start to take on meaning too. Like, if you like someone, then the name seems to fit. It's fine. Like, what does Lady Gaga mean? That sounds ridiculous, right? But it works for her. Hilde Rew. So there we go. We've got your name. And very cool. All right. Well, maybe every show I'll call myself something different, like I'm Spark or something, and see how it goes.
Lipsticks.
They used to call me Iceman in high school because one time I went out we played football every day at lunch, and I would go outside with just a t-shirt on in the snow. They're like, oh my God, you're like Iceman. I'm like, yeah. But I don't know if that still fits. It also, if you're a rapper, you can have names like Ice, but if you're a comedian, does that make sense? I don't know.
Could try that.
Yeah. I mean, there's Cedric the Entertainer. Cool. Yeah. What name do we like? What, the Iceman?
Iceman, and I like Spark too.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I don't
I
think you
looked.
have to have a human name
No.
necessarily.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, we'll see. Yeah. And then, yeah. All right. Well, maybe I'll keep changing it. We'll see. Although that'll be harder for branding. People like, who are you? How do I look you up? We'll see how it goes. We'll be Celebrity Josh for now, and then we'll just go with the stage name, and then I've got a whole story to tell. I don't know. All right. Well, thank you so much, Hilde Rew. And I guess at the end, I'm supposed to say, like, is there something that, if people want to look you up, or should they find you, or whatever, or just I could just put your Instagram link in the description, or not? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, I'm like Hilde Rew on Instagram. There's just a dot in between Hilde Rew.
Oh yeah. Is there a Hilde Rew
That,
without a dot
nope.
anywhere?
Well,
No.
no, but I wanted people to not
No.
think
No.
that it's a word because it could look like a word.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying you shouldn't have the dot. I was just curious. I'm always because there was a guy, like, I was trying to get Celebrity Josh on Instagram for years, and there was just this profile that this little 11-year-old kid or something had one picture that he posted like 8 years ago, and I was like, this is not a real profile.
Oh,
And I kept reporting it and stuff. Finally got shut down. And then I talked to copyright lawyers. They were like, yeah, it'll take about 4 years and thousands of dollars to get the copyright but finally I was able to get the things. I'm like, okay, I got it. Because I'm like, I didn't want to be Celebrity.Josh. I'm like, I have to be Celebrity Josh. But there's also this guy on Facebook, has facebook.com/celebrityjosh, because he has an Indian blog. It was about, like, an Indian, Josh means like gossip or something. So it's like the Celebrity Josh, whatever. Thanks so much, Hilde Rew. We'll all look you up on Instagram.
Thank you, Josh.
And hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Hopefully.
Bye.
Bye.